Alright, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm back today with doing another top 10 Naruto hot takes, debunked or not. We'll see if I agree with them or if I don't agree with them. Now, I took another top 10, obviously from the comment section from the community post I made a while back, and picked them out for today's video. Now, if you didn't see your hot take on today's video, don't be sad because I will keep doing them repeatedly throughout the year just to make sure that everyone gets a chance to have their hot take presented on each video. But if you want to see your hot take be put on a video, you have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. Comment your biggest and craziest or best or worst hot take you can for Naruto, and be a subscriber to increase your chances of seeing your hot take on each respective video. So with that said, if you haven't yet, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Click the bell for more notifications. And with all that said, let's go and get into the first one. The female cast in Naruto aren't useless. Yeah, this one's actually really good because the female cast are not useless. They're not. Like, a big majority of them are really skillful and intelligent and can be really useful in a lot of situations. Ones like Sakura really come to mind for the most part. As much as hate as she gets, she is actually one of the most capable fighters among the Konoha 12 specifically. But while they aren't useless by any means, they're definitely not written the best into this series. I think there is somewhere where Kishimoto said where he's just not great at writing female characters. I don't know if he said that himself or that's just like a worldwide consensus among the community for Naruto, that like Kishimoto just does not have a really good talent of like working or writing the female cast into the story as he needs to. Definitely not compared to people like Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi. And even ones like Shikamaru and Gaara are even way better written into the story. But so I mean, yes, they're not useless by any means. It's just they run the bad luck of having to not be written the best, unfortunately. Yeah, they're definitely, I don't think that's a hot take, honestly. I don't think a lot of people would disagree, but they just aren't given enough screen time or given much to do. So this one's pretty good. Hidan could be way more ninja than people give him credit for, keeping up in taijutsu with Kakashi and outdoing Asuma, and puts him at a much higher level of physical prowess than just regular Jonin. Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, everybody in the Akatsuki is supposed to be S-class, with the real only notable exception being Zetsu because he's not a combat fighter. But that said, I mean, technically, like I said, yeah, Hidan is a S-rank criminal, so he's definitely above Jonin. And I do agree, like I agree he's definitely above regular Jonin, but like, I mean, I guess Asuma would be like the baseline for a typical regular Jonin. He's definitely not regular. I mean, he's part of the Guardian Shinobi 12 for crying out loud. So he's definitely above, like, I would say base Jonin. But I'd probably put him like right on the cusp of high Jonin. Whereas Kakashi is, for the most part of the series, like high Jonin. Like by the time of the Hidan and Kakuzu arc into the Pain arc, he's like right on the cusp of Kage level. So, I mean, and that does make sense. He, like I said, he was keeping up in taijutsu with Kakashi in their fight, so I will give him that. So that's nothing to sleep on. The thing is, though, is like with Hidan, outside the Asuma fight, the only real actual fight we see him in is one where he has the bad luck of the other opponents knowing his intel, like how his ritual works and what happens if they even get a scratch of blood. Again, he runs the bad luck of them being well prepared going in. Whereas, like, again, you know, like I said earlier, the Asuma fight, Asuma had no knowledge of Hidan's ritual, like, whatsoever, and that is exactly what happened. Like, I don't think he was fighting carelessly, but had he gone in with prior intel that he needed, he definitely would have been on the ready for it and definitely been a lot more cautious going into that fight. I definitely think when it comes to regular people who don't have any intel going in, Hidan is ridiculous. He's kind of like Pain when it comes to that, because most, I mean, let's be honest, most ninja are not as smart as Shikamaru. So again, if you're going in without any intel on this guy, the second he starts like recovering or not even be affected by your attacks, like it's going to be messing with your head to the point where like by the time you even try to remotely figure out what's going on, Hidan will probably have you dead already. So yeah, I think this is like, I don't think it's a hot take. I think I actually agree. Like, I think Hidan is major slept on, but again, he just ran the bad luck of his last fight being against people who happen to know just about everything they need to know about him. So Sasori is the top 5 strongest Akatsuki. He's super unlucky that he faced a main character plus an old lady that was devoted to learning how to counter him specifically. Yeah, I think I could definitely agree with that. The first part specifically. Oh, the second part too, but mainly the first part. I actually would say Sasori is in the top 5. Obviously, the top 3 is, it fluctuates between Obito, Pain, and Itachi. Probably in that order for me. But anyway, I think Kisame at number 4, and then I probably would put Sasori at number 5. I think he does. I used to think Kakuzu is physically stronger, but I think Sasori is a better fighter and has more utility and versatility than Kakuzu, at least from what we've seen. For all I know, Kakuzu might have a plethora of jutsu that could potentially win, because that wind style attack they used against Kakashi and company could be strong enough to one-shot all the 100 puppets at the same time. So Kakuzu is no joke, but I think that for the most part, I'd probably put Sasori above Kakuzu. Yeah, and the whole having to fight Chiyo and Sakura, a lot of people give Sasori crap for that. Although lately, I don't think that's been much of a controversy. I think people have warmed up to the idea that okay, obviously Sasori let them win, and he was fighting at a bit of a disadvantage. Like I said, it's the same thing with Hidan. Like Chiyo had just about everything she needed to know in order to fight Sasori, and with Sakura there, you give her a tank who just happens to be one of the best healers in the world. So yeah, I agree. I think that Sasori again ran the bad luck of having to fight people who just happen to know everything about him, and especially having the antidote for his specific poison. That's another thing too. So yeah, I don't think that's a hot take. I think I agree with that. I actually do. I do agree with that. Naruto should have learned more jutsu during the 3-year time skip. Okay, yeah. This one, yeah. Funny enough, I kind of actually mentioned this to somebody the other day, because Naruto spent 3 years with the legendary Sannin Jiraiya, the Toad Sage, and only came back with a slightly bigger Rasengan and a little bit of Genjutsu defense, and that was it. And this isn't a rant by any means, but the guy was kind of arguing that Kakashi didn't really teach Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura much of anything. And Sakura, yeah, sure, but first of all, he taught them teamwork, taught Sasuke the Chidori, and this is where people will get into the discrepancy of what Kakashi actually did to teach Naruto the Rasen Shuriken. And personally, I think that he did teach him a bit about the Rasen Shuriken, because you gotta remember that even if Naruto was the one to develop the jutsu specifically, Kakashi did point out multiple hints and whatever for Naruto throughout the training regimen. And speaking of the training regimen itself, that's another thing. Kakashi came up with that on his own. Naruto spent 3 years with Jiraiya, right? And again, only learned a slightly bigger Rasengan, but it only took Kakashi a week to come up with a training regimen for Naruto that would work specifically for Naruto to be able to master the Rasen Shuriken. And on top of that, the whole use of clones. Again, Naruto spent 3 years with Jiraiya, and Jiraiya never thought to brought up the use of clones and how they can be used as intel. I just think Kakashi kind of did more as far as training goes for Naruto than Jiraiya did, but that's just me. But he, as far as the comment goes, he definitely should have learned more. This kind of goes back to the whole board, in Boruto, we finally see Naruto weaving hand signs that's not the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and actually using Jutsu that's not the Shadow Clone Jutsu over Sengon. I'm that's probably what he should have done during the 3. Jiraiya has a plethora of fire style, for crying out loud. I'm sure he could have taught Naruto something, but it is what it is. Sasuke is the top 5 best written character in the series. I believe he gets far too much hate for the circumstances he was put in as a child. Yeah, I mean, I can agree with this. I know some people might consider it a hot take, and I understand for a certain perspective, but heavy Sasuke was him. First of all, I'll say that. I'll preface that. I'll preface this whole thing with heavy Sasuke was him. That's probably my favorite version of Sasuke, pre-Boruto era Sasuke. But heavy Sasuke was standing on business, and he actually had a certain set of morals about him. He was not evil, but he, if he had to do what needed to be done, he had to do what needed to be done. In this case, he needed to kill Itachi for obvious reasons. He was actually willing to let Deidara, who was an S-class criminal, go if he told him where Itachi was. So Sasuke has a code of his own in Heavy, but that just kind of flips when he learns the truth about Itachi. And a lot of people do give him crap about it, and I understand. Even I was kind of okay, I don't know if I completely 100% buy that this same Heavy Sasuke would just flip the switch on a dime, especially when he's being told this stuff by someone he doesn't even know. who Sasuke even said himself before Obito told him the story, like, how do you expect me to trust you? I don't even know you. You're completely untrustworthy. But the thing is Obito took a page from Madara's book. Obito knows how to talk to people. He knows he knew what he was doing. He knows how to manipulate people. He knows just what to say to trigger Sasuke in this respect. So like, this is where Obito's genius does kind of shine a little bit. You know, he may not make the best decisions, but he does know how to manipulate people just like Madara. So it's not 100% on like Sasuke for his complete character shift. And it's one of those things like you don't really know how you'd respond until you're in that situation yourself. But other than that, like other than the 5 Hokage summit, and I still agree that like despite the fact that I don't necessarily agree with the character shift or how sudden the character shift was, I do think that Sasuke in the 5 Hokage summit is probably him at his best, if I had to be honest with you, as a character anyway. Another thing too, in the War Arc, I like Sasuke specifically in the War Arc because a lot of people don't like this, but I do. I like it when I don't know what a character is thinking because it keeps you guessing. And that is Sasuke to a T. Because you know this entire time you get the feeling that he's excited to be back with Naruto and Sakura, and you know, by extension the rest of the Leaf, fighting alongside everybody again, fighting alongside Naruto specifically. But then like you get subtle hints like of what his true goal is and what like he wants to do after the war. You're left with the question mark above Sasuke's head for the majority of the war. And I actually like that. It kept me engaged for the most of the war arc. So I get some people don't like that, but I really do. And for the most part, I think Sasuke's character arc is written pretty good. All right, next one. Hiruzen did his best to help Naruto and the village, given what he had to deal with politically. And I feel the hate towards him is a bit too much. So yeah, this one might be a hot take to a lot of people. And I want to say right off the bat, the Hiruzen that I want to go off of is part 1. Because, like, when it comes to Naruto specifically, I can understand, because it really is just that one filler scene that everyone hates. Really, like, at the end of the day, that's what people's gripes about. The filler scene where he gives Naruto the rent money and says, oh, don't spend it all in one place. And then Naruto asks him, like, who my parents are, like, you know, this, and he just gives, like, an offhand answer, like, what good will it do to know? And now I'm like, no, like I choose to pretend that scene didn't even happen, honestly, because I don't think that's what part 1 Hiruzen would do. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but like, because if you think about like when Naruto, you know, at the third Hokage's funeral, he went up to Hiruzen's picture, and Naruto alone had like 3 images of, you know, time he spent with Hiruzen. You know, so it is shown that Hiruzen did spend time with Naruto and did care about him. So he had to be a pretty like special guy and really caring guy for Naruto to feel the way he did at his funeral. As far as like the whole village goes, like the only thing that I really have a problem with is his softness and naivete when it came to Danzo and the elders. I know this is a democracy, like this isn't a dictatorship for the village, but he is the Hokage, for crying out loud. Again, it's one of those things like you just don't really know how you'd respond until you're actually in the situation, and the situation he was in wasn't the greatest. I'll be honest, it was not the best, but at the same time, again, he definitely made the wrong call and could have done things to prevent what happened for sure. But I do think he gets the only thing I really have a problem here is him just not having a backbone when it came to Danzo and the elders. Like he could have put his foot down and been like, no. Because even Tsunade, when it came to compromising for Naruto against the elders, like she put her foot down and was like, no, you're not treating Naruto like a kid anymore. That's what Hiruzen should have done. Hiruzen should have took a page out of Tsunade's book. But as far as Naruto goes, I think Hiruzen did actually care about Naruto. I choose to pretend like that scene didn't happen because part 1 Hiruzen is the Hiruzen I choose to remember. I could definitely agree he dropped the ball and could have done a lot more and to prevent things from happening. All right, next one. Tsunade is a better Hokage than Tobirama and Hiruzen. Yeah, this kind of follows through with the last one. But for Hiruzen, I mean, to be fair, Tsunade didn't have to deal with a whole lot of village infighting that Hiruzen had to. So, but as far as Tobirama, like Tsunade didn't really, as far as advances for the village, like Tsunade didn't really do a whole lot. Don't get me wrong, she's probably my favorite Hokage outside of Kakashi, but at the same time, like as far as advancing the village, she really didn't do anything more than Tobirama did. Like Tobirama established the Leaf police force, he established the academy. I mean, Hashirama ran the village, but I think for the majority of it, like Tobirama built the village. So on that alone, I think Tobirama is better than Tsunade, but still, I think she managed the village better than Hiruzen did. I will say that. Like, I don't think her village building was on par with Tobirama's, but I think her managing the village was better than Hiruzen's. Plus, her faith in Naruto was bookworthy. She did not treat Naruto like a child. And I'm not saying Hiruzen did either. But that's one thing I will say. Like, she put her foot down as the Hokage when it came to Naruto. She did not back down. Alright, next one. Obito is an idiot. The man had no need to start a war. No need to make his intentions public at all. He could have joined Kisame in capturing Killer Bee because for some reason Obito hates fighting in an orange mask. But Kisame and Obito together would slam Killer Bee. And during the war, he runs around like a chicken with his head cut off instead of going to the battlefield, summoning the Getamazo, and slamming the companies, which he kind of did against the forest front, but he didn't even finish them off. So ultimately, this guy's saying that Obito is an idiot, which, okay, there's a lot of anomalies for Obito's plan. Obito is one of those people that, like, you have a lot of respect for a lot of his genius, but at the same time he makes like really offhanded decisions that just kind of leaves you scratching your head. This kind of is like what I was talking about before one of my videos. Like, if Kabuto hadn't joined Obito, like, what was he gonna do? Because the only other thing that he could have done is use the feudal lords as bargaining chips for both Killer Bee and Naruto. And I said in that video that even if it came to like the feudal lords, I don't think Tsunade and the Raikage specifically would be backing down and giving Naruto and Killer Bee up, or Gaara for that matter. Like, I don't think Gaara, Raikage, or Tsunade will be backing down and giving up Naruto, even at the expense of the feudal lords. But also, it does beg the question. It's like, okay, why even need to start the war if he already had a piece of the 9 Tails chakra and the 8 Tails chakra for the 10 Tails? Like, that, like, starting the war defeats the whole purpose if it's that easy. So yeah, Obito does make some really weird decisions. I really don't know what his intention was. I don't see how he would have expected to win the war had Kabuto not. Obito is one of my favorite characters, but even I can attest it. Like, I can agree to this. It's like, yeah, Madara is the true hero of the story. Yeah, so this one was definitely the one that stood out to be the most. I guess depending on who you ask, this could be true. But, you know, it's funny, when I first read it, I was like, okay, I don't know if I agree with this, but I thought about it. You know, in a weird twist of irony, had it not been for Obito's actions through Madara, the villages, the 5 great nations, wouldn't have band together against the Akatsuki in the first place to form the world's first ninja alliance. Therefore, all of them fighting together against Obito and Madara, with Naruto at the helm, eventually winning the war, with, again, Naruto at the helm being the hero who won the war, and ultimately striving together to form, you know, the everlasting peace after the war. That's still continuing on into Boruto. It's in a weird twist of irony, had Obito and Madara not declared war, or if Obito hadn't even formed the Akatsuki and done all this terrible stuff, that, you know, the 5 Kage Summit wouldn't have even been called in the first place in order to form the first Ninja Alliance force. So, yeah, I mean, technically, Madara is, you know, the true hero since he kind of started it all. But if you really wanted to go that route, I mean, then by logic, we'd have to say Zetsu is the true hero since he actually started the whole thing. But just like with the Hiruzen thing earlier, I try to pretend like that didn't happen. I'd be more at peace when I consider that Madara is like the real, like, mastermind. But I mean, I can't fully do that. But yeah, if you want to look at it from that lens, then yeah, I guess you could say Madara is a true hero of the story in a weird, twisted way. And the last one, I wanted to leave out as many power scaling hot takes, but this one obviously stuck out to me. So War Arc Kakashi beats Itachi, but I know no one's ready for that conversation. Yeah, so this one, you know, I'm a Kakashi stan. A lot of people know that, but specifically War Kakashi and Hokage Kakashi. So, like, you know, when it comes to War Kakashi versus Itachi, look, and I know I did a video about this not too long ago, and full disclosure, I think I might have been, like, gaslit into doing that video, because every time I bring it up, whether it's a YouTube short or a YouTube voting poll, talking about that specific topic, I'll get one comment, and one of those, well, Itachi beat Kakashi in part 1, so obviously he beats him here too. And I think the whole reason I really wanted to make the video in the first place was because to just debunk that statement, because they're not the same person. Saying that Itachi beats War Kakashi because Itachi beat part 1 Kakashi, it's like saying that Itachi can beat Hokage Naruto because Itachi can beat Kid Naruto. Now, I know the growth for Kid Naruto to Hokage Naruto is much more substantial than Part 1 Kakashi to War Arc Kakashi. But there's no denying that Kakashi did get a substantial growth in his physical capabilities. Whether or not you feel like he's physically stronger is irrelevant. He's definitely a far more capable fighter than he was in Part 1. So my whole point of making that video was to say that that fight is a lot closer than a lot of people think. Given what we have to go off of, because a lot of people give Itachi props, I mean, the whole Sasuke Itachi fight, where Itachi was easily beating Sasuke, right? He could have easily beaten Sasuke had he actually been trying his hardest, and still would have done so while he was near death and near blind. But conversely, in the War Arc, a lot of the later feats we have for Kakashi that are really impressive, like being able to warp Madara's true secret orbs before Guy can get to him, being able to warp the Minato's arm that got kicked by 10 Tails Madara heading straight toward him after he'd already been trying to Kamui Obito the exact same time, and being able to get Obito into the Kamui dimension to help Naruto before Madara's true secret orb could get to him. All these feats were done while Kakashi was self-admitted losing the sight in his left eye too. So it's stuff like that that really makes me feel like, you know, I could go on and on about this, but like I already did a video about it, so I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check that out. But my point in making that video was I think that War Arc Kakashi versus Itachi would be probably one of the best fights in the entire series if it was ever put to screen or manga panel, whichever, because I just really think it's closer than a lot of people give it credit for. Personally, to me, I think it's like 50-50 at best, or at worst, depending on who you ask. It's like a lucky 6 out of 10 for the winner. Like whoever wins, it's a 6 out of 10, you know, no holds barred. So but yeah, there's the hot takes for this video. Thank you all for submitting these. They're always a ton of fun to do. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to see your hot take be put on the next video, to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. I don't know when it will be, but it will be relatively soon, and I'll make a community post for that 2 weeks in advance, just so you all know and have more hot takes that you can come up with. So thank you all for watching. Like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Till then, like Snow, out.